If you're close to burnout, you could lose everything if you don't change right now. I've not just seen this, but I have lived it. 6 months after I started my personal training business, I got chronic fatigue and my whole life stopped overnight. I was stuck in bed for 2 weeks straight, didn't know what was going on. I went from working 12 to 14 hour days to being able to work 2 or 3 hours a day at the most. And I still had to keep on adulting along the way. This business I'd only just started from scratch 6 months earlier. I was living off savings and hoping it would work, so I couldn't just stop either. I could not give up. I'd burned the boats. That was my one thing. So I persevered. I worked as hard as I could. I sacrificed everything in order to get the business self-sustaining so I could survive and focus on my recovery. Now, 8 years later, I was so exhausted, I felt it was time for me to walk away and try something else. I no longer had any income, so I had to sell my house, most of my things, my car, and I went traveling. I needed a break. So I also started building an online business. It was doing online personal training, so very similar to what I was doing, in the hopes of making enough money that I could make that work and support it that way. But it didn't pan out as I expected. I couldn't put enough time or energy into it. So I had to go and work another job while trying to build something else. Same result. I kept working and I kept building. I did whatever I could to try and make something work, but I kept coming up short. I was burnt out, and as I kept trying and kept pushing, I was racking up debt. It was getting harder and harder. I'd already lost my house, my business, my car, most of my friends, and it gets really difficult. End result, I still wasn't healthy. I'd lost everything. Ended up around 70 grand in debt. And I'd already spent, up to this point, I've spent $260,000 trying to get my health back. It's also cost me somewhere between $1 to $3 million in lost income and investments that I've had to let go along the way because I couldn't support that. I lost it all, and I accumulated debt from being in a position of having it all, having success. I don't want that to happen to you. If you get to that burnout point, there is a very high risk that you lose everything if you do not change. Like I said, do not want that for you. Here's what you need to do different. First, be proactively working on improving your health all the time. Now, even back then, was I proactively working on my health? Absolutely. But was I doing things that were negative to it? Absolutely. Did I know it was severe as it was at the time? No, I didn't. I was already working with some health professionals to try and resolve a few issues that I didn't really know what they were. But I didn't know it was as severe as it was. I was working on that, and then the other side, I was training like an animal. I was pushing myself physically. A regular Saturday would be 5 hours of exercise. It could be 2 or 3 hours of surfing and an hour and a half of lifting weights, and then a bike ride in the afternoon could be an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. And that was just normal. Lifting heavy weights, training really hard, and then working in 12 to 14 hour days, pushing to try and start this business. That wasn't healthy, but I didn't know any other way. I didn't know any better. And like I said, I thought I was doing all the right things. So what are you doing that is supporting your health? And then what, on the other side of that, are you doing that might be sabotaging your health? Are you over pushing the boundaries in your life? Are you going out and socializing too much? Are you drinking too much alcohol? Are you staying up too late and not getting enough sleep? Are you binge watching stuff? Are you sedentary and not going out and doing your exercise? Are you going to the GP and getting tests done to make sure that everything's working for you? Are you seeing the dentist? Are you looking after your health as your number one priority? Because if not, you could well be on your way to absolute disaster. And I do not want that for you. I've seen that so many times. So I'm 45 now, and the amount of people that I've seen and known that have either had cancer or heart issues or autoimmune issues, injuries, other weird illnesses that no one seems to be able to explain. It's so common. So focus on your health. Always be working on your health, because no one wants to lose it all. Next, don't overdo it and sit on your red line all the time. If you go hard for a while, that's fine, but you got to make sure you have a recovery period where you back off and you don't go quite so hard. Because your mind and your body both need to recover. You can't just keep pushing all of the time. So if you're starting a business, look, I know what it takes. It takes a lot of effort. Do you have to do it that fast? Do you have to progress that fast? Is there another way that you could do that? So if you're starting a business, you might find that it's easier to be able to work 5 days a week and then just work on your business on the weekend. And as things improve, drop it down to 4 days a week, 3 days a week, 2 days a week. While one goes up, the other one goes down, but still, the balance is still there. You're not overdoing it. That's one option. If you're training for an Ironman triathlon or a marathon, that's all well and good if you're healthy, but if you're also building the business at the same time, that's probably a bad thing. If you've got a newborn at home and you're training for a marathon, that's a bad time. If you've got a newborn at home and you're trying to build a business, that's a bad time. So you've got to look at the stress that's in your life. Is it a time of pushing hard, or is it a time of backing off? There's nothing wrong with backing off, but we live in this society which is hustle, grind, go for it. That doesn't always equal the right recipe. As I said, you might do that for a short space of time, but you've got to be able to back off and let your body recover and your mind recover, because burnout is a real thing and it is far more common than you would expect. Last, get a coach to keep you accountable. So whatever it is you need to work on, if you can work on with a coach, the coach can call you on your shit. The coach can say, hey, you're doing this, it's making things worse for you, stop doing this. Maybe try it this way instead and see how that goes. Now that could be working with a personal trainer or a rehab specialist. It could be working with a business coach. It could be working with a nutrition coach. It could be working with a health coach. It could be working with a life coach, like what I do. But whatever it is, that extra guidance allows you to be able to stay focused on what you should be doing. Try and cut out the unnecessary stuff and stop you from burning yourself out while still having the success along the way. Now, I've worked with all of those things that I mentioned. Health coaches, nutrition coaches, business coaches, personal trainers, rehab specialists, life coaches. I've done all of that at different times because I know the value of it, and I don't regret a single cent that I've spent. And I have spent well into the six figures of learning and coaching and trying to refine how I do things, how I run my life, how I improve my health, my business, my lifestyle, all of these different things. You're going to spend all of your wealth if you lose your health. All of it. You will. Every single person will do this. Just to be able to get their health back, you will spend all of it. So do not go chasing the money at the expense of your health. It will not work. It only leads to disaster. You don't want to hit burnout, because if you get to burnout, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get back. For me, I'm 15 years, another 3 months, I think I'm up to 16 years. And I'm still not back to where I want to be, despite doing everything. And how I have to work so hard just to try and get things to come back in my energy. It is a lot of discipline and a lot of effort. I don't want you to get to that point. You are far better off staying where you are, staying healthy, maintaining your health is far better. Now, the Chinese medicine system works on looking after the person and supporting their health as they go, not treating them when they get sick. Traditional Chinese medicine has its place. They've learned that you're looking after yourself first, and then whatever else comes second. Take note of that and see how you can fit that into your life. Now, I run a 28-day free coaching program that helps you go through a lot of these things and work through some of these issues that you might have in your life. We go through all the different things between your lifestyle, your health and your fitness, your mental health, your social life, enjoying your hobbies and getting better at communication, the whole thing. So if you want guidance in living a good life, a quality lifestyle that allows you to live the life that you want to live without getting yourself near burnout, well, you'll find us on the link below. Come in and join us. I'd love to be able to coach you and see you in there.